You're listening to Motivational Mondays. Tulio Siragusa leads strategy for Nearsoft. He's the co-founder of RadicalRespect.org and the host of Dojo Live and the Rant and Grow podcasts. Tulio recently joined us to talk about self-accountable teams and how we could potentially create organizations where vulnerability and gratitude lead to more trust and empowerment. Today, Tulio's back to tell us more about adopting emotional intelligence-centered leadership principles to create unstoppable teams. Tulio, how can we identify and move away from the command and control structures you spoke about in our last conversation?
The idea of codependence, which is what I was talking about, the command and control structure, it's based on codependence. You're codependent on one person making all decisions, all the hiring, firing, adult-child type relationship. Then there's a big push nowadays for independence, which is great to achieve independence. But if you look at nature, nature doesn't act independent of each other. Nature is interdependent. Everything is in balance within itself. And that is ultimately the model. That is the natural model and the natural order of things. We're no different. We need to be interdependent on each other. We're not individuals that like to be an island or loners. We actually need that interaction. We need connection. We thrive on that. So creating an environment where organizations are structured to be interdependent on each other with a mindset of constantly giving, now you create an unstoppable environment. You can't stop a company like that. You just can't. You can't compete with them either. Now, what I have seen is in an environment where leaders have evolved in self-awareness. They have gotten to a place where their self-worth is high enough that they're not afraid to be vulnerable. They have tapped into a high level of gratitude. They have become authentic in realizing it's not my job to be perfect. It's not my job to know everything. My job is to be real and authentic and grow and learn. And in that environment and in that mindset, I create the environment that people can step into and do the same. In those environments, you can actually create self-accountable teams, self-managed team. And what I mean by that is that everyone in that team plays a significant role in shaping the future of achieving the team's purpose. So you actually remove the need for a boss. There's no boss in that environment. There are just people working together towards a common goal, vulnerable with each other, because by eliminating the need for the boss, I don't have to impress anyone. Therefore, I don't have to play politics. I don't have to show off. I don't have to look better than anybody else. I can just be myself and contribute fully as an adult would, because we have an adult-to-adult relationship. It also means that if there's a meeting that needs to take place and I can't make it, I don't have to write an email-long justification why I can't make it, which, by the way, in traditional command and control structure, that happens. It's mind-blowing to me. As a senior executive having to explain why they can't make a meeting. I trust you're an adult. If you can't make it, there's good reason. You don't need to explain that to me. I can't make it. Great. Let's move on. It all comes down to, from a leadership development perspective, I believe we have to stop judging ourselves based on the results in our lives and shift from a mindset of learning and growing. And if we do that, the type of culture and environment we begin to create is one where it's co-owned and co-managed, a shared authority environment. So it's not just a great environment to work in, it's smart business because everyone operates like the CEO. And ultimately, the goal of a true leader, an authentic leader, is to enable other people to be leaders. And so that's where my focus is bringing awareness to this idea of stepping out of this roller coaster ride, this up and down of your self-worth, because it will impact everything you do, specifically the relationships you have, not just at work, but with your family, your friends, your spouse. And it's not just research I've done on this. I've lived this for 3 decades. I have struggled personally, and I have seen the transition in the past few years, stepping out of that mindset into owning that I am worthy, that I am 100% capable of greatness, and stepping into that mindset. It completely has changed the way I lead relationships, the way I relate to people, the way I relate to myself, and ultimately creates an environment where people want to be there and not leave because it's infectious. That's truly infectious. We have almost 10 people in an organization of almost 400 devoted to what we call people development. And their role is to identify what makes people, tick and align those things, their future aspiration, as best as possible for them. I've been known to connect with employees and understand what their long-term aspirations are. I actually had one a few years back who wanted to become a baker and open a bakery. And so we sat down and identified all the skill sets she had and all the skill sets she needed to be a baker. We talked about what are you going to need to be a good baker, right, to run a business. And we looked at the gaps and said, okay, what kind of work can we delve into here that can help you develop those skill sets? And I said, I'd hate to lose you, but I'm also happy to lose you to fulfill your passion. I said, let's have a plan. If it takes 2 years to develop these skill sets, great. If it takes six months, you decide. But I want to support you to ultimately achieve your goal to open a bakery. And I think when you do that with employees, when you connect with what really matters to them, and you can show how the work that they're doing ties into their long-term aspirations, then you create an environment where people, it doesn't become a matter of what they're doing. What they're doing has purpose. It ties into something personally meaningful to them. And I think that's the secret to retaining your best employees is to recognize that they may have different aspirations than you want and empower them to achieve them. And in the process of achieving them, they learn and grow, and you get the benefit of that. So it's a win-win for everybody.
How can we learn more about this concept of creating interdependent teams?
You can look it up on radicalrespect.org. What we're doing with Radical is sharing a manifesto, sharing some methodology, some thought process, some thought leadership, and guiding organizations and individuals that want to learn that there is a different way, there is a better way. And it's good for people, and it's sustainable, and it mimics nature. So anyone who wants to learn more about that, they can certainly go on the site. They can sign up for the newsletter. All the members are on there. We're going to continue to add more resources to it. That would be a good start.
Thank you, Tulio. And thank you for listening to Motivational Monday.